And one of the things to think about is how we construe Lent as an option, an opportunity, or an obligation. Hey, peace and hope. I'm Drew Tucker. I'm the university pastor and director of the Center for Faith and Learning here at Capital University in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm so excited to be a part of your Lenten series this season. I want to today talk about the differences in ways that Christians participate or observe in Lent. And one of the things to think about is how we construe Lent an option, an opportunity, or an obligation. Traditions that we think of as non-denominational or evangelical are going to typically see Lent as an option. It's not something that's required. It's not something that's even necessarily going to be programmed into the life of the church. But if you as an individual want to participate in Lent, then you are more than welcome to do so. So it's really up to you and your personal piety to develop a Lenten practice. Others, what we think of as mainline traditions, Lutherans, Anglicans and Episcopalians, Presbyterians, United Church of Christ, Methodists, others, are going to see Lent as an opportunity. So we'll provide increased programming, increased kinds of study, increased kinds of worship, increased even kinds of service or charity to ensure that you can participate in Lent as an opportunity. But it's not an obligation, it's not a requirement. So you won't see the entire congregation necessarily opting into Lenten practices. Then in Catholicism and Orthodoxy, you'll find Lent as an obligatory practice. The three pillars of Lent that include prayer, fasting, and charity will be something that you are expected to participate in. So the increased worship services help you to meet that expectation. The increased opportunities for fasting help you to meet that expectation. And of course, the increased ways of giving help you to meet that expectation. Now, don't think about obligation here as a negative. Instead, the obligation is something that we take on to ourselves as we identify with that tradition. So if you claim an identity as a Roman Catholic, then you are taking that on. It's not designed to be oppressive, but instead to be formative in that identity. And in the Orthodox Church, it's even more strict because you might know of Catholicism that typically Lent includes a fasting from red meat. In Orthodoxy, it includes fasting from meat and all meat products. So poultry and milk, all of these things, eggs, you cannot participate in, cannot consume during Lent. This is a radical commitment, but this idea of prayer and fasting and charity is meant to draw us in to the work of Jesus throughout the season, the work that is sacrifice and also the work that is salvation. So we are not accomplishing salvation through our sacrifices the way that Jesus does, but instead we are identifying with a mode of life, a way of giving up, a selflessness in order to participate in the life that Jesus offers to us. Now, you're going to see this especially in the ways that some people will give things up and some people will take things on. Notice I said those three pillars include taking on prayer and charity and giving up or fasting from certain things. In the option and opportunity traditions, you might see people choosing to do one or the other or some amalgam of those options. That's one way that people increase their identification without obligation. But another way is looking at how people practice Holy Week, because you've got Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday. And again, in those option traditions, you'll likely not have services that recognize those specific days. And we're even seeing Easter services creep earlier and earlier into that week. So we'll see Easter services starting as early as Thursday or Friday in those traditions. Whereas in the opportunity and obligation traditions, those 3 days are part of a wider festival called the Triduum, or the Great 3 Days. And those Great 3 Days are to recognize that work of Jesus throughout that week to increase the ways that we participate in God's abundant life for us. So friends, as you participate in the season, whatever tradition you come from, I invite you to consider what ways these practices might inspire you to see and inhabit the kind of life that Jesus offers us. So take care of yourselves, follow Jesus to the cross, through the cross, and into the resurrection. Amen.